Hi, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Eric Crashaw. My presentation for this intake is on confined spaces. I'm a Local 18 member. I bounce around to a couple other locals working, but mainly Local 18. I work in confined spaces almost all the time now. It depends where we're working exactly that defines whether or not it's a confined space. But there's three main things for defining a confined space. There is a limited access, like it's restricted getting in and out of the area. It's small enough that you can't really perform your work comfortably. And there's also whether or not it was designed for a continuous occupancy. Now, it's pretty vague in some sense, but those are the book's definition. I work mainly in refineries and steel mills and some other chemical places. This is an H2S monitor. We use these in the refineries mainly. Everyone has to have them on in a refinery. It's just for H2S, but on the job sites we have attendants that monitor all the other different 5 other toxins in the air. We work in a world that's extremely dangerous, in construction. So we gotta keep our eyes open and make sure we follow the Green Book. As much as the Green Book is a pain in the ass, and there's no one denying that it's not. But the fact of the matter is, it was written in blood. Everything that's written in there is because there was an injury or a death, and we have to respect that. In my life, I've came across confined spaces quite a few times from my time in the Navy, and even when I was a young kid. I was 14, I was too afraid to piss off my boss, so I always did what he told me to do. I worked on a shipyard. We had a hydro boat coming in to our dry dock. We raised her up, we sandblasted her, and my boss had to do a weld patch job on the outside. While he was doing the patch job, I was on the inside of the ship, and it just so happened that the opposite side of his patch job was in the fuel tank. Now, I was brought in there to prevent burn through, and I didn't piss off my boss. I wouldn't say nothing to him. I needed my money. So I went in there with no breathing apparatus, didn't know my rights. I'm a young guy, and next thing you know, I wake up in hospital. And the story's been heard many times from, the same kind of thing from a lot of people. That's why we gotta know our rights. The union guys don't usually have much of a problem with it, but, we still do things we shouldn't do on the job. You gotta know whether or not you're gonna be safe. And it sucks, to have to put up a stink and all that, but you're there to make money, you're not there to make friends. You gotta remember that. Where I work is usually, like I said, in oil refineries, stuff like that. Well, there's 2 particular places I work most of the time. It's IOL out in Nanticoke and IOL out in Sarnia. IOL stands for Imperial Oil Limited, so ESSO. And in Sarnia we take things a little bit more seriously when it comes to safety. It sounds like over the top, but it's all there for our own protection. We go there, we have to get, the supervisor will go get a hot work confined space permit for us to go into our cooling tower. Once we got that, we all sign it and go over everything, and we talk about the confined space itself and what the toxins could be that could kill us and everything else like that. Then we head out to the CCAN, out to the job site. We get all our stuff on, our 5-point harness, which isn't there to protect us from falling necessarily, it's also there for rescuing us. The safety boots, the spoggles, the hard hat, the respirator if need be, the whole 9 yards, fire rated coveralls, all that. Then when we get to the tower itself, we have a monitor attendant that's there. He's tested it prior to the start of the day, and they're testing it again, the air quality and the samples in the air inside the tower and outside. Once he gives us the okay, we go in to perform our work. Now, when we go in there to perform our work, there's also a rescue team waiting for us outside the tower, so if any of us drop, they come in. Cooling towers and any confined space for that matter is no joke. I mean, you always, if there's a chance that something could possibly happen, we have to prepare for that. And confined space is no option. That is the rule. If you think that something could happen, it will. In North America, there's about 14,000 injuries per year that's reported. Out of those 14,000, someone has died. And when it comes to confined spaces particularly, there's for every 10 reports, 1 person's died. And for every 1 person, or worker I should say, every 1 worker that's died, there's been almost two rescuers died trying to rescue rescue them. So it just shows, like, you're not safe regardless if you're the rescuer or the worker. Like, you have to be prepared. So anyways, in my film, you'll see that, some samples, and I guess enjoy. Thanks.
October 2nd, 2007. A terrible tragedy unfolded in the mountains 40 miles west of Denver, Colorado. 5 contract painters were trapped by a chemical fire deep inside a hydroelectric plant tunnel. The plant was owned by Xcel Energy, a major regional electric power company. The fire, involving combustible coatings and solvents inside the tunnel, blocked the only way out, an opening more than 1,400 feet away. There was no help available because the company did not have properly trained emergency responders standing by for such a rescue. For the workers, there was no escape.
Normally, outside air contains about 21% oxygen and is necessary to sustain life. Some confined spaces contain 21% oxygen, others do not. Oxygen is invisible and may be used up over time in the confined spaces by things as simple as rust or bacterial growth in slime. Other gases may enter the confined space and displace the oxygen. Operations such as cutting with oxyacetylene or heating will consume oxygen. If the oxygen in the confined space is reduced to 12 to 16%, workers will experience increased pulse and respiration, impaired judgment, and loss of coordination. If the oxygen level is at 6 to 10% or less when the workers enter a confined space, they will experience nausea, vomiting, or loss of consciousness followed by death. Hydrogen sulfide and other toxic gases may enter the confined space from a variety of sources, including sewers, rotting material, chemical leaks or spills, or as a byproduct of work processes. Carbon monoxide is odorless and colorless. It's produced from the incomplete burning of any carbon-containing material like gasoline, wood, natural gas, and propane, and can be lethal at doses of 1% or less. Hydrogen sulfide is invisible and has an odor like rotten eggs, but at higher concentrations, it may knock out your sense of smell. Death can result in seconds from hydrogen sulfide exposure. The first test to conduct is for oxygen. Oxygen deficiency can occur at any level. Some gases, such as hydrogen sulfide, are heavier than air and could settle on the bottom of the confined space. Methane will displace oxygen. It is an explosive gas and is lighter than air. Carbon monoxide has about the same weight as air, so it can be evenly distributed throughout the space. It's an asphyxiant, which prevents your body from absorbing oxygen, causing you to suffocate. Never use the ventilator like a vacuum to draw air out of the confined space. It may draw in toxic gases from other parts of the space. The fan must blow fresh air into the space. Ventilation will provide a continuous supply of fresh air and prevent the buildup of contaminants.
Last year, my partner and I were repairing leaks on the air release valves in the sewer system. My partner was in the hole pumping out water. I happened to look in and saw him slumped over.
Sean, are you okay?
1 second he's fine, the next, out like a light. Hey, I'm pretty strong. There's no doubt in my mind I can climb down and pull him up quickly. All I remember is going down the ladder. Next thing I know, I'm waking up in hospital, and they're telling me my partner's dead. That's how quickly those gases can hit you.
The human body is like a sponge for gases. And it doesn't matter how big or strong you are. And in many accidents, when a passerby has the presence of mind to phone for help, it's usually too late. So planning on being rescued is obviously not the solution.
No, I don't know why accidents like this happen, but I suspect that the workers just didn't follow proper testing procedures.
Ensure the surrounding area is free of hazards. Test the atmosphere inside the confined space. Ventilate the confined space. And finally, ensure that a man watch has been initiated and emergency procedures have been established.